Welcome to Live Daf, your online Daf Yomi Shir.
Shalom Aleichem and welcome back to today's Daf, which is Yevamos Samach Ches. We are starting 2 lines from the top of the Amud. If we take a quick glance at the Mishnah on Samach Zayin Amud Beis, we're going to see a long list of various scenarios, in which case the Isha is sort of in limbo, where she cannot eat Truma. Say, for instance, she's a Bas Kohen, which would allow her Truma rights. But now that she's entered this state of uncertainty, it's somewhere in between. She's not back at home, but she's not yet really connected to the new situation. But she still has to stop eating Truma. Likewise, if she's a Bas Yisrael from a non-Kohen family, where ordinarily when she marries a Kohen, she can start eating Truma, but in these cases she's not really truly connected to the Kohen, no Truma as well. Okay, so here we have a case which is V'hacherish, 2 lines from the top, V'hacherish. An Isha who married a deaf mute. So what does our Mishnah say? He is Paisel. Suppose she's a Bas Kohen. The fact that she initiated this relationship with the Cherish makes her unfit, disqualifies her from Achilas Truma, which she had up until this moment. So it's a Bas Kohen, marrying a Cherish who is a Yisrael, stop Truma. Likewise, if she's a Bas Yisrael, marrying a Cherish who is a Kohen, he doesn't feed her Truma. She does not assume Truma eating privileges on account of this marriage. Explains the Gemara. Bas Kohen Yisraeli, if she was a Bas Kohen who now married a Yisrael, a Cherish, Pasala, he disqualifies her from Achilas Truma. The Kanya, B'tekanta the Rabbanon, Chachamo Mesaka, that a Cherish has the ability to marry. Rashi explains, although he's not a Bar Das, does not have proper das, which would empower him to make a proper kinyan, Rabbanon will mesakin that his marriage has some validity, and therefore it adversely affects her ability to eat truma, which she had up until this point. Vibas Yisrael Koini, or conversely, she's a Bas Yisrael from a non-Kohen family, marrying a Cherish who is a Kohen. Bas Yisrael the Kohen, Lo Machal, he cannot feed her. Why? Kinin Kaspay Am Rachmana. The Torah stipulates a Kohen can feed his wife if she is his acquisition. V'hai Lav Bar Kininu, a Cherish is not able to make a Kinyan Minat Torah, and therefore unable to feed his wife Teruma. The Mishnah continues, Uben Tesha Shonim. He's a 9-year-old. What exactly does this pertain to? What type of scenario are we speaking about? With a 9-year-old disqualifying the Isha and not feeding her? What's going on? The Gemara figures, B'shemeres Yavam, Leben Teisha V'yem Echad. We're speaking that she's a Yevama who's availing herself to a 9-year-old. He is the Yavam. Mishnah says, he is Paisel, he won't feed. Lamai. What's the primary chiddush? What's the primary lesson of the Mishnah? The fact that he disqualifies her. If she was a Bas Kohen eating until this point, he's a Yisrael, he disqualifies her? Is that the main point? Or the other way, that if he's a Kohen, he can't feed her? What's the main point here? Lamai ilam ifsal, to make her apostle from Truma. She's a Bas Kohen. This 9-year-old, Yavam, is a Yisrael. This disqualifies her. Is that the main point? Why speak about a 9-year-old? Even a Katan, a 1-day-old Yavam, has the same effect. Katan Nami, Mipsal Pasal. She's anticipating the Yivam, the future Yivam of this Katan. So even if he's a 1-year-old, 1-day-old, and he's a Yisrael, it impacts her Achilas Truma abilities. If the point of the Mishnah is that this Yavam, Kohen, cannot feed her teruma because it's still pre-Yibum. She's only Shemeres Yavam, awaiting Yibum. Is that the point of the Mishnah? Why speak about a 9-year-old? Presented as an even greater chiddush. Gadol nami loy machal. Even if he's a full-fledged adult, at this early point, at the Shemeres Yavam stage, a Yavam Kayan can't feed his wife Truma, can't feed the Yevama Truma. Why stop at 9-year-old? Amra Bayi, Hacha beYavam ben Tesha Shanim B'Yam Haba al Yevam Te'eskinan. We're speaking that this 9-year-old actually lived as married with a Yevama. And what happens now? The Medairaisa Kanyali. The way Rashi in Kedushin learns, Machlokes Rishonim, Rashi learns that the Gemara means that in contrast to conventional Kedushin and Nesuin, you need a Gadol who has the ability to make Kinyan. Yibum is totally different. Yibum is a heaven-sent shidduch. It's min hashamayim. Isha hiknu loy min hashamayim, as the Gemara says. In which case, even a katan, if he interacts with his Yevama, he is kain her min ha-Torah. Tosfos is in disagreement. Right over here, Tosfos says, of course, a katan, even a yavam katan, even in a yibum situation, a katan cannot be kain. He learns the Gemara differently. But Rashi learns, Medaraisa Kanili means literally. He's a 9-year-old, he is kain his Yevama. Perhaps I would say, Hoyo Medaraisa Kanili, since he acquires her, since she is now his. Ubiyasebia. His interaction has halachic validity throughout the Torah. Perhaps he can feed her truma if he is a kain. The Chiddush Mishnah is no. Why? Although he's kainah, but midrabanan. It doesn't appear like a proper kedushin. We don't allow it. Also, bias ben tes shanim yamechad. Chachamim treated and equated this 9-year-old's experience kemamar begadol, simply like a mamar, which we had many times. The Yavam who does Kedushin with his Yevama, min ha-Torah, doesn't really have an impact. It's only a rabbinic type of process. It designates the Yavam, etc. They treated the 9-year-old's Bia like a mamar by an adult, meaning, of course, she's his, she's designated to him, but it's not considered a true kinyan to the extent that we're going to allow her to partake in his teruma. That's Abai's approach to the Mishnah. We speak about a 9-year-old who is a kayan, who is a yavam, who did bia. Still, he cannot feed the yavama teruma. Amalei Rava ihachi. If the point of the Mishnah is to tell you that even in this case he can't feed his yavama teruma, that's the ikar point. That he can't be machal. Seifa. Let's move on to the next part of the Mishnah. Tektani, the Mishnah says, Safek bentes shani v'mechad, Safek sheyenai. We're unsure of whether he is or not 9 years old. The same halacha applies, right? That's the Mishnah. According to you, the main point of the Mishnah here is that this 9-year-old can't feed his wife, correct? So why does the Mishnah have to add, well, you know what, the same thing applies if we're not sure if he's even 9 years old. Isn't that quite obvious? If a full 9-year-old cannot feed his Yevama Truma, as we explained, Safek mibaye. It goes without saying that a Safek 9-year-old, you're not even sure if he is even 9-year-old, in which case he has the ability to perform bia. Of course, he can't feed his Yevama Truma. Elama Rava says, Rava, I'll give you a new pshat in the Mishnah. The case of the 9-year-old pertains to the following halacha. Not a yavam and a yavam, no. Beben teisha shanam v'yemechad. A 9-year-old, the hanoch pesulim katani. This 9-year-old is from one of those on the list of pesulim, a mamzer, a chalal, etc. The pasli b'biyasim, when they interact with any isha, Kayhenes, let's say. Even a Levi Israelis, as we're going to see later, but let's keep it simple. A Kayhenes, who interacts with somebody she's not supposed to. a kuti, a chnosin, a cholol, a mamzer, a whole long list of psulin, even though she's a bas kohen, she has been eating truma back home, this sort of experience invalidates her, disqualifies her. That's the point of the Mishnah. A ben tes shana b'yemechad has the ability to disqualify Isha through a masa bia with her. Look at the Sanyas, we have the Brisa, which gives us a full list of eligible candidates. Ben tes shashana b'yemechad ger amoini, if he's a ger from the Amoin nation who may not interact with Klal Yisrael. V'moy avi from Moav Mitzri v'adoimi Kuti, from the Kuti group who are not really proper converts. Nosen from the Nesinim that came in the time of Yeshua. Chalal, he was born from a forbidden Kahuna marriage. Umamzer, Shabo, all these individuals who interacted with the Kehenes, Ala Kehenes, Laviv Israelis, Paslua, they become Pasl. No truma, no marrying a kohen. That's the point of the Mishnah. Now we answer this kasha. Now we understand why the Mishnah continues. Even if it's only a suffix, whether he's 9 years old, he'll have the same effect. Asks Tosfos, why? You're not sure whether he reached the point of 9. Let's just follow the concept of chazaka. He was 2 years old, 3 years old, 4 years old, right? Now, we don't know if he's past his ninth birthday. Let's assume he hasn't passed that birthday. Let's assume he's still underage. Isn't that what chazaka is all about? We can assume that the previous condition is still intact. Is still applicable. He's underage. Answers Tosfos. Not over here. What is he now? Now he's 9.5 years old. He's past the 9-year-old threshold, right? And the fact is, that chazaka, that underage, so to speak, chazaka, that was going to change. Naturally, a person just gets older and older. Correct? It's a chazaka asui lishtanis, as the Mefarshim explained to Tosfos. It's something which is going to change. Inevitably, he's going to get older. And he's already older now. Let's assume what you see now was always there. Meaning, the fact that he's older now, that he's already over age. That leads us to suspect very strongly that he was in that state, he's in that condition at the time of this interaction. So what was the kasha? While he was underage, let's assume he remained as such during that experience, throughout that experience. No, he's already over age now. Let's assume what we see now was in fact his condition during this interaction. That is Tosfos teretz. And that's why even by a suffix, we have to suspect the worst. And she is puzzled from teruma. Really, that's the concept of now Mishnah? That a puzzle interacting with a kehenes makes her a puzzle? That's already been discussed later on. Seifa. Take a look at the last part of this Mishnah, which is discussed on Daf Samach Tes, where it says, Einon ru'uyin lava b'Yisrael. An individual who may not interact with the community, hare elu poislim. If they interact with a kohen, they make her puzzle. Mechlal the Reisha, apparently the first part of the Mishnah, lav v'psol maskin, is not speaking about the same exact case. Why the repetition? Answers the Gemara. We're discussing two types. Reisha psule kol. First we discuss individuals who may not intermarry at all with Klal Yisrael, the mamzer, etc. And they have a direct impact on this Isha through this experience. Seifa psuli kahuna. The next part of the Mishnah discusses very specific psulim. Rashi says a chalal, kahuna related deficiencies. And the chiddush is that even they can have this profound effect if they interact with an Isha. So bottom line is, how do we interpret this halacha of this ben teisha shonim v'yamechad? We have two pshatim. Abaye says, Oshemeres Yavim to a ben teisha, who happens to be a kohen. and he actually did bia, he was miyavim, he can't feed her truma because midrabanan we don't give it that same value. Rava says we're speaking about an individual who's not meant to interact with a bas Yisrael. If he does so, he disqualifies her from truma. If he interacted with a Leviah or Yisraelis, he disqualifies them from any potential achilas truma or from marrying a kohen. Okay, so on this topic, let's figure out the background, the makar. Where does this come from? Menani mili. Sorry. Gufa. Before we get to that, Gufa, let's just go back a minute to that list. Ben Tesha Shanim Yom Echad. Any 9-year-old who hails from all these groups, Geramoini, Umayavi, Mitzri, Vadoimi, Kuti, Nasin, Chalil, Umamzer, Shabau al Kohenes, Leviah Yisraelis, who interacted with any Jewish woman, Paslan or Paslua is the Gersa, they make her Paslan. That's Tanakamu. Rabbi Yesi Omer, we have to follow a certain formula, which the Gemara later will explain. It goes as follows. Kol she'zare pasel, any individual whose children are pasel, paisel, he will disqualify the Isha with whom he interacted. But kol she'ein zare pasel, if his child is not pasel, einoi paisel, he won't affect the Isha as well. Rabbi Shimon megamle leimer. We work with another set of rules. Kol she'atanoise bitay. If you're allowed to marry his daughter, atanoise almanasai, you can marry his widow. V'chol she'ein atanoise bitay. If you can't marry his daughter, atanoise almanasai, you can't marry his widow. The Gemara and the Samach Tes will go into this. How do we know this is true? Where do we know this halacha from? Apostle interacting with an Isha, as married, makes her apostle. Amar Avida Marav. It's a pasuk. Amakra. Bas Koyin, Kiti Ali Ishzar. If Bas Koyin interacts with an Ishzar, the Gemara here learns it to mean she had an inappropriate interaction, a zar, a strange, unacceptable interaction. Kivan sheniva la pasla. Once that happens, she becomes pasla. Really? Haimi boile. This pasuk is needed for something else, for a more basic halacha. The Kamar Achmana, the pasuk is telling us, Bas Koyin de min sabalazar le teichel. A Bas Koyin who marries a non-Koyin must stop eating truma while she is still married to him. So a Bas Koyin marries a very regular Yisrael, legitimate legal marriage. She has to stop eating truma. Hahi, that halacha is learned from a different pasuk, which leaves this pasuk available for our halacha that interaction with an inappropriate individual is harmful. That halacha that you stop eating while still married to a non-Kohen. There's another pasuk which says, look, a Bas Koyin who married a Yisrael and left him, went back home. She's back home. As in her youth, she can again partake in her father's teruma. Nafka. So we learn this halacha from there, meaning, once the pasuk tells us, look, you go back home, you can have truma. Michlal, what does that tell you about her truma ability when she is still married to the Yisrael? Obviously, she can't. When she goes back, yeah, but not now. Michlal di mikara layachla. Apparently, while still married to the Yisrael, she cannot eat. So that is learned from that pasuk, leaving the other pasuk available for our purposes. What do you mean? Imahi, if only from that pasuk. It wouldn't really teach us what we want. It wouldn't teach us that it's an isser for a Bas Koyin to have truma while married to a Yisrael. Hava Amin, I would say, sure, she shouldn't. Lav habo mechlal, I'll say it's a forbidden act, but it's derived and extracted from a positive phrase in the Torah, and therefore only has a din of an asay. It's not a lav. You don't get malchus. Torah says, look, you go back home, you can have truma. Apparently, in her current condition, while still married to a perfectly fine Yisrael, don't have truma. It's a lav, but it's been extracted from a positive statement, and that only has a din of an asay. We want more than that. Kasav Rachmana Hailulav. That's why we need the other pasuk, the first pasuk, right? The Bas Koyin Kesil Irzar. That is needed to tell you that it's usr, it's a lav. It's an outright lav for Bas Kohen to have truma while married to a Yisrael. If so, both psukim are used up for this halacha and unavailable to tell us our concept, which is that an interaction with a puzzle makes you puzzle. How do you know that? Lav, says the Gemara. Are you looking for a lav regarding a Bas Kohen eating truma while married to a Yisrael? That's what you're looking for, and that created the whole traffic jam here. I have another pasuk for that. Nafka. We have yet a third pasuk. Pasuk Yud. Why you'll be married to a zar? It's like you're a zar. So Bas Kohen married to Yisrael should not take part in truma. Nafka. Learn from there. And again, that leaves that first pasuk available for our purposes. That nivel apostle makes her apostle. What do you mean? The pasuk that you just mentioned, that's not extra. It's not available for anything. It's needed for its own sake. That guess what? If you're a Yisrael, you shouldn't be eating truma. A basic halacha that we need to know. It's unavailable to teach us that a Bas Kohen may not eat truma while married to Yisrael. In which case we need that first pasuk again for that halacha. In which case it's not available to teach us what we're looking for, which is that if you're nival apostle, it's basically going to go around in circles over and over till we get to a conclusion. This pasuk is needed for its own sake, that a Yisrael, a zar, a non-kohen, shouldn't eat truma. Take a look at the psukim. You'll find this type of phrase mentioned twice. Once the pasuk that we just mentioned, that's in pasuk Yud. If you have a chumash, it's very handy. This is Vayikra Chav Beis. You have pasuk Yud. That's going to tell you that a non-kohen has no business eating truma. A Yisrael shouldn't be eating truma. Then we have pasuk Yud Gimel, which speaks about Ubas Kohen Kesia Almana Grusha, etc. V'chol zor lo yochal boy. Again, that same type of phrase. V'chol zor lo yochal boy. That's what the Gemara means. Trei v'chol zor ksivi. You have a similar phrase mentioned twice. And v'chol zor lo yochal boy in pasuk Yud Gimel. That's in the context of an Isha marrying Yisrael and goes back home, right? So there we learn that while she's married to the Yisrael, it fits very well because that's the topic of that pasuk. While married to Yisrael, you have no business eating truma. Which leaves the third pasuk available for our purposes. That's pasuk Yud Beis actually. Ubas Kohen Kesir li Zar. She shouldn't have truma. That's available. It's an extra pasuk to teach us what we're looking for. If a Bas Kohen interacts with a puzzle, a mamzer, a nasan, a chol, etc., no truma for her. So back to the Gemara again. Trei v'chol zar ksivi. We have the phrase twice, one for this, one for that. But it's not extra. Bakatimi boile. Look at Reisir Chanina. The pasuk of v'chol zar lo yichal boy, which is the end of pasuk, the last phrase of pasuk Yud Gimel, is needed for something else. The Rabbi Yisur Chanina v'chol zar tells you that zarus amartilach, only a non-kohen is restricted from eating teruma. V'layaninos, but not if his relative passed away. He's an oinen. He can't have maser, but he can have truma. So the pasuk is used for that. Answers the Gemara. We have enough room for all. The Rabbi Yisur Chanina, that halacha min zar v'chol zar nafka. Why did the pasuk have to say v'chol zar lo yechal boy? The extra v'chol is coming to add this halacha as well. That we allow even an oinen to eat teruma. So we have all the halachas which are alluded to in all these psukim. Asks the Gemara. So bottom line is, we have this extra pasuk Yud Beis, Ubas Kohen Kesir li Ish Zar. Bas Kohen interacts with an Ish Zar, which we interpreted to mean she acted inappropriately with a puzzle. I didn't marry a Zar, but she interacted as married with a mamzer, all that. It makes her unfit, disqualifies her from truma. Right? Vakatimi boile, look at the sanya. But that pasuk is needed for something else. So the pasuk which says Bas Kohen Kesir li Ish Zar, he betrumas, Right? He betrumas hakashim lo seichel is coming to tell us as follows. We know that a bas kohen who is eating truma on account of her father marries a Yisrael and then divorces, or he passes away. She goes back home and goes back to her father's truma, but when she goes back, it's a limited return. Chayzeres la truma, she goes back to eating truma, but she cannot partake in her father's portions of what she gets from the shlamim, the chazav shaykh, the chest area, the thigh. Those are things that are unique to her father, to the original family, but not to this woman who was already married to somebody else, who was already married to Yisrael. That far she doesn't go. She can't come back to her full original status. She gets truma, but she can't actually eat off her father's table, take the chazav shaykh. And that's learned from this pasuk. Pasuk Yud Beis, ubas kohen kesiya li'ish zar, he betrumas hakachim lo yiseichel. How do we see this? V'amar Rav Chisda, Amar Ravina bar Rav Shila, Ma'ikra. How do you see it in the pasuk? The siv. Ubas kohen kesiya li'ish zar, he betrumas hakachim lo yiseichel. We learn from here that once you marry somebody else, once you marry out, right, you marry Yisrael, even though he passed away without children, you go back home to truma, but only truma. Lo yiseichel be'mura min hakachim. She may not partake in those portions which are separated from the karbanis. So the pasuk has already been used up and unavailable to teach us our halacha. That interacting inappropriately with a pasuk makes you pasuk as well. Im kain, if only for that halacha lichtev kra, he bekachim lo yiseichel. The pasuk could simply say she can't partake in kachim. My betrumas hakachim. Why the extra phrase betrumas hakachim? That includes truma as well. Shamas minot tarta. We have both halachas from the same pasuk. Firstly, the basic halacha. That what? That when you come back home, you have to having been married to Yisrael, you can't have the chazav shaykh, you can't have the kachim. And an additional halacha as well, which is our sugya. Any kohenes who interacts with a pasala, be they amayni mayavi kuti nasan chalal mamzer, etc., becomes pasal from truma for the rest of her life. Why? Ubas kohen kesiya li'ish zar. She has an experience with an ish zar, a foreign type of experience. He betrumas hakashim lo yiseichel, disqualified from truma. Says the Gemara, Ashkan Kayhenes. So you've determined that a Kayhenes gets affected by this experience. Levia, Israelis Menolan. What about a Isha from a Levi family, from Yisrael family? What about them? How do we know they become disqualified as well through interacting with these individuals? Just like we learned over there in Meseches, actually later on in Meseches Yevamos. Bas, ubas. We have the word bas and the extra vav, right? Because pasuk Yud Beis starts with uvas kohen. The extra vav, that's a ribui, an inclusive phrase. Hachanami here as well. Bas ubas. Why does the pasuk say ubas kohen instead of just bas? To allude to even a Leviya v'Yisraelis, that they were included in this halacha. Command Rabbi Akiva. You're following only Rabbi Akiva the Dorish Vavin, who expounds on the extra vavs, but not the Rabbanon. No, if you let him Rabbanon, even in this case Rabbanon agree. Why kule? The whole word ubas is kroy yiseiru. It's an extra pasuk. Pasuk could have just said the chesiyah li'ish zar, because we know we're speaking about a kohen family. The chesiyah li'ish zar without ubas kohen, etc. So the bottom line is, it might sound a little confusing, but bottom line is it's very simple. We have 3 pesukim. They're all in Vayikra Chav Beis, Pasuk Yud, Pasuk Yud Beis, Pasuk Yud Gimel. We have 3 pesukim from which we learn 5 halachas. So we have in Pasuk Yud, Chazar lo yichal kodesh, telling us simply that a non-kohen should not be eating truma. Simple as that. We have Pasuk Yud Gimel, that a bas kohen who married a Yisrael, etc., she is ready to go back home. V'chol zor lo yichal boy tells you while you're still married, while you're still residing with the Israel, don't need any truma. From pasuk Yud Beis, ubas koyin kesiya leizor, don't need truma. We learn that kiven sheniv Allah lepasel pasla. What else do we learn from these psukim? The fact that the pasuk uses the word bitrumas hakachim, that tells you that you don't need truma upon interacting with this individual. But we also learn the other halacha, that after coming back home from a marriage with a Yisrael, a regular Yisrael, legitimate marriage, you go back to truma, but not to kachim, like chazav v'shoik. The lashon v'chol zar, right? In pasuk Yud v'chol zar leichal boy v'chol, telling you the halacha that we learned that only a zar, something far into truma, but aninus is okay. If a kain is an einin, he may partake in truma. And bottom line is, this whole concept of the nivala lepasela, makes her pasel, applies to a kaihenes and also a lavi of Yisraelis, because of the extra word ubas koyin, the first word in pasuk Yud Beis. Simple as that. So bottom line is, we know that interacting with this fellow makes you disqualified, pasel from achilas truma, right? Ashich on the truma. So that tells us about truma. L'kahuna minola. What about the other aspect of this halacha? Interacting with a pasel makes you unfit going forward from marrying a kohen. How do you know that? Because you see, the whole parsha, all these psukim refer discussing truma, not discussing marrying a kohen. How do you know that's affected as well? Answers the Gemara. What do you mean? Atu levi of Yisraelis. We just had a riboy to include a levi of Yisraelis. They are affected by this experience. Pertaining to what? They don't need truma. Lav lekunim arbinalu, right? Shall we not understand that the point is, the Torah is telling you it disqualifies them from marrying a kohen? There you go. Deal with truma, because with respect to truma, they don't need truma regardless. But no, is meichal truma ninu, since one's a Levi Israeli truma. Alamalei, why not? I'll give you a case. Mishkachasla, you can find it as follows: the ka'achla b'shvil b'no, she eats truma because of her son. She was married to a kohen, he passed away, leaving behind a son, and the mother keeps on eating truma because of that. Perhaps that's the halacha that Torah teaches us, that she cannot eat truma if she had this experience with a pasel. So it pertains strictly to truma. Who's to say that it applies to the other aspect, to marrying a kohen? This allows her from marrying a kohen in the future. How do you know? Perhaps the point is to disallow them from eating truma on account of her son. Bishvil beno, on account of the son? Of course, you don't need a pasuk for that, kal v'chomer. You would simply learn it from a kal v'chomer, or ma kohenes. If you find that a bas kohen, the bikdusha de nafsha achla, who eats truma by her own right, on account of her own personal kedusha, right? Pasila, interacting with a mamzer or a chalal. This allows her from achilas truma. Certainly the Levia, the Yisraelis, the le'achla el b'shvil b'na, those individuals have no personal access to truma. They're only eating because they're the son, right? They married a kohen who passed away, left behind a son. It's not their personal access, it's by way of the son. Losh kolshkin, isn't it obvious? Isn't it pashut? Isn't it clear that they become pasel through this type of illegitimate interaction with a pasel? You don't need a pasuk for that. If a kaihenes gets affected, she loses her own personal rights to truma, of course, the Levi Yisraelis. So why do you need a pasuk to include the Levi Yisraelis? Oh, apparently the pasuk here is adding another dimension to this halacha. Just as a kehenes who interacts with a pasel becomes pasel from truma, the Levi Yisraelis who interact with an inappropriate individual, a mamzer, all that, they may not marry a kohen going forward. Because if it's only for truma, you can learn that from the kehenes. You don't need a pasuk. We have a kavachaymer. Asks the Gemara, what do you mean? What kind of kavachaymer? If anything, the other way around. the rationale that you presented can be twisted and reversed. Kayehenas the Kaddish Gufa, perhaps only a natural Kayin, a Bas Kayin, who's inherently Kaddish. She's extra delicate and sensitive and susceptible to Psul. Pasila, sure. Interacting with this mamzer affects her. Hadale Kaddish Gufa, as opposed to a Levi of Yisraelis who don't have this added element of Kedusha that the Kayenas has. Perhaps Le Pasila, interacting with a mamzer wouldn't affect her with respect to Truma. That's what I would think. And that's why I need a pasuk for that. They too are affected. So back to the question, how do you know that there's another dimension to this halacha? That this experience would make you unable to marry a kohen? You have no pasuk for that. Ella rather, says the Gemara Lekahuna, to tell you that all the halacha of marrying a kohen, kavachemer migrusha, that can be learned from kavachemer, from a divorcee. Uma grusha. We know that a grusha is shemuteres, but truma can still eat truma. Nothing wrong with her. Asur lekuna, still she can't marry a kohen, even a kohen headed. Zu, this Levi of Yisraelis, who interacted with a mamzer, she'asura betruma, who becomes pasal from truma, as we mentioned. Eina din, isn't it obvious? She'psula lekuna, she can't marry a kohen. So that's how we know the halach. Since when can you craft a warning, an isser, by way of a kavachemer? You can't do that, as the Gemara in Makkas proves. And says the Gemara, Gilui milsa ba'amu. We're not trying to create something anew. We're trying to define or redefine a concept. As Rashi explains. Rashi's off to the left here. Gilui milsa ba'amu. Says Rashi, V'lav melaf minei alfinan. We're not trying to generate a lav l'kuhuna mitruma. We have truma as the basis upon which to build a kal v'chomer regarding kuhuna. That's not the point. The memela, it happens on its own. It's a natural extension. Even the ifslul truma. Once we know she's pasuk from truma based on the pasuk, that's a given. Now we know that ifslul kuhuna, it affects her kuhuna status as well. She can't marry a kohen. Why? The truma hainik dushas kuhuna. Think about it. Eating truma is one of the kuhuna related activities, right? Once the Torah tells you no truma, what does the Torah tell you? In effect, she loses kedushas kuhuna. And guess what? Included in kedushas kuhuna is marrying a kohen. Simple logic. It's gilui milsa ba'alma. So this kal v'chomer pretty much just opens up a new dimension in interpreting and defining what is kedushas kuhuna. And therefore we say, just as the Torah tells us that interacting with a puzzle makes you unfit for teruma, which by the way means you lose your kedushas kuhuna, of which truma is an inherent part, inherent feature. Likewise, you lose your kohen marrying abilities. Okay, so bottom line is, we concluded that interacting with a person who is unfit, unable to marry into the community, we have a long list of individuals, mamzer, chalal, etc., etc. You become puzzle. Puzzle from what? From truma and marrying a kohen. Who becomes puzzle? Anybody. A kehenas levi of Yisraelis. One thing that still remains to be defined is, the pasuk says, sure, ubas kohen ketzia liish zar. And we learned that interacting with a puzzle makes you puzzle. Who is a puzzle? How do you define puzzle? Maybe only the worst of the worst. Ve'ema nivel the puzzle. It means chayve krisis, a relative, a brother, somebody who entails curse, but not simply interacting with somebody who's a chayv lav. Answers the Gemara, Kisiya Amar Achmana. Let's pay attention to the wording in the pasuk. About kohen Kisiya Lishzar. Siya usually means lashon of kiddushin. I once heard a nice word, that the Ish v'Isha, Shechina b'neim, they generate a makim for Ashras HaShechina, the Shem of Hashem rests among them. So we always use Lashon Havaya, Kiyiyah, Lashon of Shem Hashem, Yud Kevavke, the source of all existence, who creates this new entity of Ish v'Isha as one unit. That's why the pasuk alludes to it as Kisiyah. V'yatzav ha'hoisa, Lashon Havaya always means Kedushin. In any case, the pasuk here, in describing this halacha, references the Lashon Kisiyah, which tells you Hanach the Isbu Havai was speaking about interacting with an individual who is a potential husband. Chayav Krisis Lavni Havaya, a relative with his karas, there's no potential kedushin. So apparently the pasuk is speaking about a lower level isser, interacting with somebody where there's a lav, who theoretically can be mekadosh. Not recommended, but he has the ability to make a valid kedushin. And interacting with this individual makes you pasul. Asks the Gemara, if it's kedushin dependent, yachi oived kecham ve'eved leilufsalu. Interacting with a goy or an eved who cannot affect kedushin, they shouldn't disqualify the isha. Answers the Gemara, you're right. We have another pasuk. Hanach pasli midir Rabbi Shmuel dam Rabbi Yechon mishum Rabbi Shmuel minay leived kecham ve'eved sheba bas Yisrael. Indeed, how do we know this as fact? A guy and an Eved, although they don't have Kedushin, they can disqualify the Isha from all these goodies. Pasuk says, it's in the Pasuk Perik Chav Beis Pasuk Gimel. A Bas Kohen who was married to somebody, she became an almana from him, a grusha. She can now go back home and resume Achilas Truma. And we learn from here, only if she was married to an individual who can create an almana, who can affect a gerusha, who has kedushin to begin with. Mi sheyesh le almanas v'gerushin ba, only a Yisrael. Yotzu ovid kacham be'eved, as opposed to a goy or eved who don't have the ability to affect kedushin. She'en le almanas v'gerushin, he can't create an almana or a gerusha. In that case, his isha is burnt. She's tainted. She's affected by him. She cannot go back home and have teruma. So clearly, even interacting with an eved or a guy has the same effect as an ordinary pas. And Rashi says the same thing would happen to chayav krisis. Even though they don't have kedushin, interacting with them would affect the isha to this extent. Ashkechan kayhenes, back to the same discussion, this only applies to kayhenes as per this pasuk, who cannot eat truma as a result of this experience. Leviv Yisraelis Benon. What about the Leviv Yisraelis? How do you know they're affected as well through their interaction with a eved or a goy? Because remember, this pasuk here, which is needed to include the eved and goy, speaks about a kehenes. K'da'omer Abba Marav, as we learned over there, basu bas, extra vav, is a riba echanami as well. It could have said bas ish kohen. Instead it says ubas, to include any type of isha. Kiman ki rekiva, the rishvavi is dafka rekiva, because he focuses on the vavs. I feel ten Rabban, even the Rabban would agree in this case, because kula ubas kro yiseru, the entire word ubas is really extra. Could have done without it, because the previous pasuk already mentions ubas kohen. Could have just said v'chisia without the word ubas kohen kisia. So we include all the cases, including a levi of Yisraelis. Let's do a brief review of today's daf. We start with a cherish. A cherish married to an isha can only ruin things. He can only be paisel if she's a bas kohen. She has to stop eating truma because of her relationship with him. He can't feed her, meaning if she's a bas Yisrael and he's a kohen, although they're married, it's not a valid marriage minat Torah. She can't have his truma. The Mishnah described the halach regarding a ben teisha shana v'yamechad. He as well could only be paisel but not machel. We have a Abaye Shat who says we're speaking about a yavam who has Baal Yivimtoi, although he's kind of in Torah, but he can't be machal because in Drabbana we don't treat it as a proper marriage. Rabba's Pshat was, we're speaking about an individual who's a psul kahal, a psul kahuna, a whole long list of potential individuals. Ger Amoini, Mayavim, Mitzvah, Adoimi, etc. If they interact as married with an Isha, they make her puzzle. That took us to the whole sugi here. How do we know that it affects the Isha to this extent. We have psukim to prove it. And we came up with sources for all these halachas. Firstly, that a Yisrael shouldn't be eating truma. A Bas Kohen married to Yisrael shouldn't be eating truma while she's married to him. We learned that a Bas Kohen or Levi or Yisrael so interact with these individuals who are mamzerim, etc., it disqualifies them from truma or from marrying a Kohen. We learned that it applies to an individual where there's a lav. We learned that it applies to individuals who don't even have the ability to make kedushin like a goy, chayav krisis, an eved. And we learned that this type of experience affects her ability to eat truma, and also this allows her from marrying a kohen in the future. All the best to you and Hatzlacha Rabbah.